Now, on paper, all of this would sound great if you're a public investor, but here's what happened this week that kind of changed my mind on why I needed to make this episode, and I think brought into clearer focus, at least, that this really is a bubble we need to be talking about. First, David Solomon of Goldman Sachs came out and just plainly said we should expect to see a 15 or 10, I think he said 10 to 20% correction in the market. A 10 to 20% correction in the market is a big damn deal. And then Michael Burry came out, and if you don't know who Michael Burry is, I'll tell you in a second. He shorted Palantir and Nvidia. So Michael Burry is famous from the movie, and I guess it was a book before it was a movie, The Big Short. And Michael Burry went to all of the investment banks in New York and had them all build him products that allowed him to short the real estate market in 2007. He basically bet against the entire market, and these investment banks put products together that allowed him to do that. Obviously, he was right. He was right to the tune of a few $1 billion in profit. Well, he just placed 2 shorts or puts of over $1 billion in shorts on the 2 companies, Palantir and Nvidia. And what was interesting about that was the short itself, obviously, but maybe more specifically, Alex Karp, who is the CEO of Palantir, lost his shit on CNBC when this came out and even accused Burry of market manipulation. He had an absolute meltdown on air on CNBC talking about how he loves the shorts because he gets to burn them and it's motivating and all of this stuff, but it was super defensive and it wasn't super reassuring. And again, they're trading at an unbelievable multiple on sales, so they're a little bit vulnerable from a report standpoint, and they did actually lose value the next day in their stock price. Sam Altman had his own version of a meltdown on the B2G podcast, which I wasn't familiar with, but apparently is very popular, so congrats on that. He was asked, quote, how can a company with $13 billion in revenue make $1.4 trillion of spend commitments? And then Altman responded, what I think is pretty childishly, by saying, quote, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. I didn't think this sounded very confident, and it certainly wasn't a very thoughtful answer, and I didn't feel reassured from him. If I was one of his investors, it's not really what I would want to hear from him as a CEO.